Hey, good afternoon and welcome to our last meeting of May. We have a few people in the audience and 17, 18 or so people watching us on Electric City TV. The invocation tonight will be given by council, and Rick Lockridge in respect to the flag will be led by Mayor Pro Tem Matt Harper. Please rise.
Let us pray. We come to you, Lord, tonight, first of all, thanking you for everything you provide for us. You have given so many blessings without us even asking for it. We also ask that you take good care of the folks that work for the city, the policemen, the firemen, public workers, the staff, each member of the city council. We ask you to take care of each of them. Give them the courage to do the right things always. Bless us as we make decisions for the city. Help us do the things, again, that are right for you. Now continue to be with each member of this community as we move ahead. Let us look to the future and let us continue to guide the city in the way it should go. Give us strength and give us courage and give us wisdom. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start our meeting, we have a couple of presentations before we get to the body of our work here tonight. And first of all, we have a proclamation that we are reading in regards to boater safety. And I'm going to ask our friends here who come up, the Coopers and others, staff, to come up and stand with me. I know the Coopers, and we met before. And Commander Harlow. I knew that. So I'm going to read the proclamation, and I'm going to give these guys an opportunity to add on to some of the things I've said. And the proclamation reads, whereas for nearly 100 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity from coast to coast and everywhere in between. People are taken to the water and enjoying time together, boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. And whereas recreational boating is fun and enjoyable, and we are fortunate that we have sufficient resources to accommodate the wide variety of pleasure boating demands. However, our waterways can become crowded at times and be places of chaos and confusion. And whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local safe boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waterways responsibly. Safe boating begins with preparation. And whereas on average 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the U.S., 75% of these are fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment, and not by boat, equipment, and environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lost their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. Now, therefore, I, Terrence V. Roberts, along with my fellow city council members, do hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through May 26th of 2023 as National Safe Boating Week, and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. And I encourage all of those who boat to participate and practice safe boating and wear a life jacket at all times while boating. Proclaimed this 22nd day of May of 2023. And I will get...
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank Mayor and the council for doing this. our initiative, obviously, every year is to keep our numbers down of fatalities and unfortunates. As you all know, I mean, this area is surrounded by water. So everywhere you turn, every bridge you cross, waterways are not getting any less busy, especially since the COVID epidemic. Of course, that's the only thing people could do, really. So anyway, our numbers are growing on that end, and the last year, I want to say we only had 2 fatalities. So I mean, that's incredible. That's probably the lowest number we've had in forever. So again, thank you all for letting us be here and for signing this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I absolutely will. We'll go that way. We'll go whichever way.
We'll go whichever way you tell us to do.
Whatever's easiest for you guys.
Thank you for what you do. We appreciate all you do. Thank you so much.
You're with me. My dad was on that for 10 years or so. Buck Roberts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next, I would like to invite our friend from the South Carolina State University 1890 Extension Program, Boyd Owens, and Boyd has a presentation that he will take us through. I think at times, especially with organizations that help our city and in the midst of the city, it's always a good thing to know what you're doing and what our partners are doing so we can be good advocates of your work. Boyd?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Boyd Owens, and I bring you greetings from South Carolina State University's 1890 Research and Extension Program, the Upstate region. I felt it would be a good time, since we have been developing a facility here in the city, to come and give you some information about what we do as an organization and what our plans for the old unemployment building. I'm pretty sure some of you have seen some work being done over there. Next slide. Just to give you a little bit of background information about our organization, 1890 Extension is basically the cornerstone of the land grant status for South Carolina State University. Since its inception, South Carolina State University is one of 2 land grant institutions in South Carolina, and is the only public HBCU institution at South Carolina. As it relates to 1890 Research and Extension, we are one of 19 designated historically black institutions that has this land grant status. Next slide. Our mission is to innovate and educate, to elevate the quality of life for the citizens of South Carolina. So our mission is to raise the level of standard to the citizens of South Carolina. We have a focus on limited resource income families, but no one is ever turned away. Next slide. These are some of our core values, and I'll just touch on a few of them. Customer service. We want to make sure we're providing great customer service to our citizens, no matter where they're from. Quality, integrity, teamwork. Teamwork is always especially important in our organization because we have a small team and we have to work together. Respect, volunteerism, a will to win, and personal accountability. Next slide. At 1890 Extension, again, what we do is with land grant institutions is, they like to call it a 3-legged stool. You have education, where they teach. Then you have research, where they research different things. And then we have extension, which takes those research-based activities and provides them to the citizens of whatever state that they're in, us being South Carolina. And that's what we do in Cooperative Extension. We take all of the research knowledge that we have and we provide it to the citizens of the state. Next slide. These are our outreach priorities. The first one is 4-H youth development. Yes, we do 4-H youth development along with Clemson Extension. Community economic and development, education, innovation and support, family nutrition and health, sustainable ag and natural resources. Next slide. These are some by the numbers. For this past year, we had over 6,800 contacts. We have the ability to do in-person, hybrid, and virtual programming. Our 4-H team from right here from Anderson, the city of Anderson, they won the Blue Ribbon winners this past year. It's a partnership we did with us at Clemson and Columbia. We also started our new ag program, and we provided a GAP certification for farmers as well as a beef cattle production, along with backyard gardening. Next slide. In order for us to be successful, we have to have strategic partnerships. And these are just some of our partnerships that we have across the region. And I'll just point out that we have 31 partnerships in the region here. Next slide. These are just our service areas. As you can see, we represent the upstate region, which is Anderson, Pickens, Spartanburg, and Greenville counties. We have the largest, I would like to say the largest cities or largest counties. Next slide. Some of our signature facilities. This is our facility in Ella Reed, South Carolina. This is Camp Harry Daniels. That campsite may be familiar to some of us. This is where we used to do our 4-H youth development camp. We're going to start that back. We just recently opened up a research and education center. That's what you see there. It's 1,500 square feet. And we're just right around the corner from Lake Marion with this facility. Next slide. This is our demonstration farm, which is in Olar, South Carolina. We're currently running a hemp research project there. We're looking to do agroforestry and open up some hoop houses soon. Next slide. This is our upstate facility. I cannot go out without saying thank you to Dr. Thompson. We have been housed at the Westside Community Center since 2003, and we have enjoyed being there. It has just come to the point where our administration wants us to have our own footprint in our region.
We're not kicking you out either.
Ma'am?
We're not kicking you out.
No, ma'am. And we will be there whenever you call.
Okay.
Our new building will have 10,000 square feet. We have 2 classrooms. We have a multi-purpose space, also a food demonstration lab and administrative offices. Next slide. These are some of the pictures of how it looks on the inside. The picture to your right, that is our multi-purpose space. The picture to the left, that is our demonstration kitchen. Next slide. This is our staff. And just to give you an idea, the building is 98% complete. I did a walkthrough this morning. We only have one area that needs some carpet, and they just need to do some touch-up spot painting and hang one door. So we are really close to being finished with that facility. Just to go over our staff, that's me on the top. That's our administrative coordinator, Ms. Sheena Scott, who basically runs the office. This is our Ms. Uniqua Iyabi. She is our family nutrition and health agent. Ms. Latoya Lyons, that's our FNEP program assistant. Mr. Tyrone Williams, he's our sustainable ag and natural resources agent. And Ms. Kalia Woods, who's our 4-H youth development agent. That is my presentation. I do have some information I want to leave with each and every one of you that goes over a little bit more the programs we do and how we can be a benefit to the city. And if you have any questions, I'll take them now.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Great presentation. It's always good to, like I said, to hear what people are doing, and obviously you guys do a lot for our community. Any questions, comments?
Well, I'd like to say that we're going to be shedding many tears, Boyd, when you leave Westside Community Center.
Yes, ma'am.
But we know that you'll be back.
Yes, ma'am. We're not even a mile away.
Absolutely.
So all you have to do is call us. We'll be more than happy to come and continue to do the work that we do there. We're still working with Ms. Kermia and Mr. Don Peppers at the community center. So if it's anything else, we'll probably be coming asking to use your space because it's a little bit larger, like the community room and the gym. So
Thank you. We've enjoyed you being there. You've done a lot for our community. You know, we are both South Carolina Bulldogs.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And so we wish you all the best of luck. And I'd like the whole council to know how much I have enjoyed South Carolina State University being at Westside. You meant a lot to us. And so keep on going. Congratulations, and keep moving on.
Thank you. And if you guys would like to tour the facility, like I said, I'll leave my information. Just give me a call and we can walk through. And I cannot go without thanking the city police for helping us make sure the facility is safe over in that area. We're hoping to bring a little bit more revitalization over there, but every time we call, 15, 10 minutes, they're always there responding. So I really want to thank you for that. As you can see in the presentation, I have a staff full of young ladies, so we feel confident that we'll be safe over in that area.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you
for
very
the
much.
presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The minutes of our May 8th meeting have been distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? Not hearing any, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a first by Mr. Lockridge,
Second.
second by Mr. Stewart. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes of May 8th pass unanimously. We have two items of old business, and the first item is request second reading of ordinance 2305 to annex and zone to R5 single-family residential, approximately .76 acres located at 1920 and 1922 East Calhoun Street and 402 Simpson Road. Ms. McEwen?
Okay, y'all are both, you're familiar with both of these items as we went over the last council meeting. They're here on second reading. Mr. Maurice McKenzie.
Thank you. Just to recap, this did come before you at your May 8th meeting, and you approved it on first reading, but this property consists of about 3/4 of an acre, and it's at the intersection of, or at the corner of Calhoun Street and Simpson Road. It's contiguous to the city limits, and they are requesting annexation in order to receive sewer service per their sewer service agreement. If you go out there now, you'll see that there are 3 houses under construction. The county issued 3 building permits, 4 houses on the site, and they also subdivided the 3/4 of an acre into 3 lots. So that's already been done. They're well underway with their construction of the houses. So we're coming before you tonight for second reading to annex the property and zone it to R5 single-family residential. That's the zoning classification that most closely fits what's on the ground.
Thank you, sir. We had pretty good discussion at our last meeting. Are there any additional comments or questions? Not hearing any? I'd entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we accept their request to annex.
First by Mr. John Roberts, second by Mr. Lockridge. I'll open it up for discussion.
I did go by there. They're interesting buildings, so be a good addition to the city.
Good. They're tall and skinny. Any other questions, comments? First and second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes on the second and final reading. Thank you. Our second item of old business is request second reading of ordinance 23-06 to revise the PDD document for portions of the Mayfield PDD located along Harriet Circle and McConnell Springs Road. Ms. McEwen.
Okay, thank you. We talked extensively about this development last time, or proposed development last time. And as you know, the city annexed it in 2003. It's a large area. They completed several phases of 5 development tracks. And there was discussion around a few things that Mr. Jeff Roberts, our expert engineer on council, has suggested. And we ultimately were able to have those included in here. And so Mr. Maurice McKenzie will go over the details.
Very good. Thank you. As Mr. McEwen mentioned, this goes back 20 years to a PDD that was approved by council, and the applicant's coming to us to have a revision to the language in the PDD document, essentially reducing the minimum lot size from 10,000 square feet to 7,500 square feet. And according to the applicant, this will free up more space for amenities, stormwater, also to preserve trees as well. So that's what's coming before you. The 2003 document was very basic. So by them coming to us, we're able to work with them to refine the document, to have standards in it that you're more accustomed to over the past couple of years. The document currently allows multifamily apartments. It allows offices along with single families. So one of the biggest things is that the applicant is eliminating the multifamily land use and also the office-related land uses from the document. But as we presented to you at the last meeting, there were several items they included into the document which strengthened it. This also triggers the opportunity for us to incorporate the tree preservation ordinance on this property as well, and there's a lot of trees on the site, so that's good. And we're able to add a few other things as well that were presented to you on May 8th. And as Mr. McEwen mentioned, the council had a few comments at the meeting when you did approve it on first reading, and we worked with the applicant to incorporate some additional language into the document per your request, and those items are that there's two entrances to the subdivision, and each of those will now have 3 lanes, one entry lane and then a left and right turn lane leading out of the subdivision. Also, some language that we've had in other documents, and that's to minimize long stretches of lots and dwellings along a line. A street or green space at approximately 10 lot intervals will be incorporated into the subdivision plan. That language has been added to the PDD document. Also, the applicant made a few revisions that you can see where they broke it up a little bit more. Also, at the meeting, Mr. Roberts pointed out that we already had language in there regarding green space at the end of the T intersections to minimize headlights from shining on to houses. A couple of those were really narrow, almost like alleys, and the applicant went back and widened those. I believe the minimum is now 24 feet wide, so it's more significant than it was initially. And also, the guidelines per our PDD document, or BDD guidelines in the zoning ordinance, and also in the original PDD, had a minimum open space of 10%. The applicant changed that to 20%, although the concept plan and what we expect will happen with our tree ordinance and everything else, it'll be more in the lines of 30%, but the applicant felt comfortable bumping it up in the document to 20%. So that's what we have before you today. Again, this came before you at your last meeting, and you approved it on first reading with the condition that those changes were to be added to the document. The applicant's also here if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Again, we had discussion among ourselves. We had some public comments, but I'll open it up for discussion. Mr. Martinez.
Mayor, I just want to let you know, I have received some phone calls from some constituents in the area. I think the overlying conversation has just been concern about density in that space. There's a lot of homes in that area with 2-lane roads. My conversation consisted of, you know, the city's going to experience growth along the way. What we need to do is be strategic with the growth that's happening. I think this is a good example where there's strategic growth that's happening. There's a win in the rezoning of single family instead of incorporating multifamily and other such projects. I think the tree ordinance is huge. I think that gives a different feel to the other maybe clear-cut neighborhoods that other citizens have seen in the past. I think the fact that the applicant was willing to work alongside of Councilman Roberts' suggestions, I mean, all that tells me, at least for my district, that the city is putting a lot of thought into what we want to see come in this area. So, not to labor the topic, I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion that we approve as written, Mayor.
We have a first by Mr. Martinez.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kyle Newton. Further discussion?
I'd like to make one comment, and this maybe is just the fruits of the tree ordinance, but the buffer along the back side, and I realize it's a wetland, but if you want to consider from the road, the proposed road to the property line, it will vary anywhere from 200 to 300 feet in that area. So it's quite a buffer. If that was a concern expressed by one of the Clarendon residents, but after I looked at it, that is quite a buffer between those two.
And some
Just a comment.
drops in elevation,
Yes.
too. Any other questions, comments? We had a first and a second. We have, go right ahead. This is Jay Wright. He spoke last time. He lives in Clarendon, and that backside of Clarendon?
Yes, and thank you very much for your time, and also, again, being able to express concerns on behalf of the neighborhood. Yeah, like you said, it is a buffer, but our concern was during the summer months, none of this is evergreen. So, for instance, from essentially October through March or April, there's essentially no kind of visual buffer at all, even though there is a significant amount of space. There's just, I mean, we can see all the way to the hill, and essentially we'll be able to see straight through the houses. But I've been talking with, we were outside talking with the developer, Brett Macy, and he's been great as far as listening to our concerns and expressed a willingness to work with us on that, and essentially trying to create an evergreen buffer, you know, a buffer that's going to be there, you know, through every month of the season, and has expressed a willingness to do that. But the difficulty is the language that was added adds evergreen plantings on the slopes, one every 1,000 feet, I believe, is something every 1,000 square feet. But the difficulty is, you know, the final grading aspects have not been finalized, so there's a whole lot of gray area on what it exactly is going to be. But Mr. Macy has basically said, hey, you know, as we get into it, we can work with the neighborhood to do that, and have expressed the desire to make sure that, you know, we're comfortable with kind of the level of privacy and the level of separation for the good of our neighborhood, but also for the residents in the neighborhood to come. And again, we support the motion to rezone and don't want to delay anything, but I wanted to put that on the record that Mr. Macy, and he can speak to this as well, has expressed, you know, basically a willingness to work with us on that. And, you know, both of us are kind of new to the process, so we don't know going forward if there's a way to make, you know, approval of the rezoning conditional to something like that, or, you know, basically what steps down the road would it be more appropriate to address that once we get a more final determination of what the grading and the actual project will be.
Thank you, sir. Could we get the developer to speak to that?
Yeah, my name's Brett Massey with Contender Development. And yeah, what Mr. Wright said is accurate. We're grateful to the council for the opportunity to create the development. And we just want to make sure that the homeowners understand the buffer, and we want to understand it as well so that everybody's comfortable, and we want to work until there's a consensus and until everybody's comfortable.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Ms. Stewart?
I was just saying, I think one of the comments that was mentioned, can it be a condition of the rezoning? I don't think that, once it's zoned, I think you can't have a condition of rezoning. Am I correct on that?
I was going to ask the staff to weigh in on that.
Yeah, I mean, once you adopt the PDD, this document is the zoning classifications of what
right.
they need to build to for the PDD and what's required. So after this, they just submit plans to staff, and ultimately the subdivision plat is reviewed for consistency by the planning commission. But other than that, it moves forward.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, if that would be the case, I guess it may help to specifically make a request on the record, is that we would just, you know, as far as looking at, I know y'all may not have it in front of you, but.
Mr. Wright, when you say we, are you
I'm
before
sorry.
you mentioned that you were representing the homeowners association, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The Clarendon Homeowners Association.
And you're an officer?
Yes, sir. I'm the
Okay,
vice
thank
president
you.
of the
Thank
Homeowners
you.
Association. And specifically what I've talked to Mr. Macy about is making an evergreen landscaping hedge or barrier directly at the back of lots essentially 84 through 97 and lot 1 on landscaping concept plan number 3. And so that's a specific request that we would like to incorporate into the zoning language if that's required at this point.
Do you mean 84 through 67?
I can show you.
But I don't think that we can you can't zone a piece of property with a condition of something, it's either rezoned or it's not rezoned, am I correct, Mr. McLean?
That's correct. He's asking you to add something to that.
Oh, my numbers are different.
Good,
You could.
if you do that.
Will you show me the extent?
The difficulty there have been multiple.
Which lots were they? 84 through what?
Well, he's got, his lots are numbered differently.
Oh,
66, okay. Is Clarendon not continue?
I think it'd be 84 through 66.
Okay, yeah, I believe the drawing you'll have is concept plan number 2. So that would be lots 80 through 66, and then lot 1 on the other side. I'm sorry for.
Just lot 1 on the other side?
Well, 1 and 48, I guess, are the two that are directly behind our neighborhood.
But Clarendon goes all the way to the back of Martin's Trail that's already developed, that you can
So
see through now.
it continues all the way across the
Yeah.
back of the property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Okay. So you're only asking for this section then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm sorry, yeah, it's concept plan drawing number 2, so that would be lots 80 through 66. And then on the right side, lot 48 and lot 1. And again, just an evergreen landscape barrier.
just a thought, Mr. Wright. I mean, if y'all has your homeowner association talked about maybe helping pay for this?
We have not had specific discussions. Again, the difficulty is it's kind of it's not. I don't think the plan has been finalized to know exactly what is there and what that cost would be. But the homeowners association would be willing to discuss that with the developer if that was a requirement in the PDD.
Thank you.
You know, I think last time we had this conversation, I believe somebody on behalf of the developer talked about how many trees would need to be planted. And it sounded like it was quite a few. I mean, if I didn't mishear, I mean, I thought it was over 1,000 that had to be planted. Is that correct?
I would argue, I'm going to participate in the debate per se, but I would argue they've been very accommodating to us, the developer. We're appreciative of that. They didn't have to rezone it for PDD. They could have stuck with multifamily, medical office buildings and so forth. They've been accommodating to the tree ordinance. So otherwise, if they would have kept their same PDD that they currently have, they wouldn't have to do the tree ordinance. They wouldn't have to do the 24 feet for the headlights. They wouldn't have to do all these different things that are now being required on them. I think we're getting into a situation where we're putting a lot of burden on the developer at this point, who's been very accommodating to us.
Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry,
sir.
this is Todd Burnett with Freeland and Kaufman. I was just standing up to address his question on it's 1 tree per 100 on the slopes. The homeowner's concern is that even if we planted the slope, they wanted more of an evergreen berm, kind of what we've talked about outside, and it seems like there's a struggle to where does this fit in the language of approving the rezone. What my suggestion was, would this not be a detail that we iron out at staff level when we're going through site plan review? And we've all kind of agreed to that, and we can work with everyone on the landscape plan as we get into grading and really fine tune this thing, rather than trying to find a sentence to put in this rezone somewhere.
Yeah, Mayor, I think that's fair.
You good with that?
Yes, and again, we're all kind of novices at this process, but as far as I would understand it, if nothing's in the language of the PDD, then there's, and again, I totally trust Mr. Macy, and we've had a great relationship. They've been very accommodating, listening to our concerns, and basically saying, hey, we want to work with you to make this happen. But as far as I understand it, if it's not in this document, there's really no enforceability, there's no assurance of anything. And so as quickly as we walk out the door, it could be, well, forget all that, what we talked about, we're not doing any of that. And so that's the only concern we have as a neighborhood, that if it needs to be in the document, that it's in the document. But again, we support the rezoning. We have nothing but good things to say about the developer. But if that's something we're agreeing that we want to do, I'm just saying if as far as the technical aspect of this particular document, if that language needs to be in there, that's what we would request if that's agreeable to the
We
developer.
understand. Thank you. So we had a first and a second. based on the agenda item before us. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We have 5 items of new business. The first item is request consideration of a referral to the Planning Commission of petition to rezone 307 Carter Street from LO Limited Office to NC Neighborhood Commercial. Mr. McEwen?
Mr. Maurice McKissick.
Thank you. This is a referral to the Planning Commission, as you see, and if you refer it tonight, it will go to the Planning Commission at their June 6th meeting. 307 Cater Street is at the corner of Cater Street and Ella. You know it as a former Subway restaurant, which was occupying that building for many years. It has since vacated that site, and the applicant is requesting a zoning change from LO Limited Office to NC Neighborhood Commercial in order to open a restaurant and bar on the site. When it was the Subway restaurant, it was non-conforming, basically grandfathered in, and because the limited office zoning that's currently on the property, which has been in place since at least 1998, it does not allow restaurants. So when it became vacant per our guidelines, when it's vacant by more than 4 months, it loses its non-conforming status. So the rezoning is requested. But again, the applicant wishes to occupy the building again with a restaurant and bar, so a rezoning would be necessary. So we recommend that you refer this to the Planning Commission. Again, their meeting is June 6th.
Thank you, sir. This starts the process. Any questions at this point? I'd entertain a motion.
Well, let me just ask,
No,
before
go
we
ahead.
refer this over, I feel like I've seen maybe some exterior work happening on that building. Can you speak a little bit more to what's happening?
Yes, sir,
on that?
yes. There has been some work taking place inside the building for a couple of months now, and we were not aware of it. When our building inspector went to take a look at what was going on, again, his cursory review looked like that most of the work was cosmetic, did not require a building permit. If it had required a building permit, we would have caught this earlier on. So there was no fault really on anybody's end. But like you said, Mr. Martinez, there were some exterior work that with some siding or something on the building we noticed, I guess it was last week. So that's when this process started. So there has been a good bit of work inside the building to convert it to a restaurant, but in order to occupy it, it has to be rezoned.
Sure. And I'll just say this. I mean, I have, zero qualms with what's happening on the inside of the building. I did think it looked a little different, although I don't know what the final product is, but I think that was vinyl over brick, right?
It was some kind of stucco, I believe, or maybe there was a
stucco,
brick
yeah.
behind it. Right, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion to let it go to planning. First by Ms. Lockhart, second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Go to the Planning Commission. Our second item of new business is request consideration of a contract for the roof repairs in the utilities department. Mr. McEwen.
Okay, it seems like all I ever do is roofs, and Mr. Strickland and other staff get the fun projects, but Scott's going to help me with this one here. But another roof and envelope project for us. We do own a lot of buildings, so it comes up quite often. But we're in need of various buildings in the utilities division for roof work, and Mr. Banks will go over this tonight for you.
Good evening. As Mr. McEwen said, we do have several roofs within our footprint that are leaking and in need of repair. DP3 came in, did an evaluation of the roofs, and generated a bid package for us that was put out to bid. And the bid package was for the water operations building on Tribble Street, the operations building at the Rocky River Wastewater Treatment Plant, and the process building at Generosity Creek Wastewater Treatment Plant. We received 5 bids that went from the low bid with Pickens Contracting of $336,909 to the high bid was Harper General Contracting at $714,618. DP3 as well as staff have reviewed all of the bids and are recommending the approval of the contract with the low bid Pickens Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $336,000, $909. And I have Mr. Daniel Atwell, with DP3 here if you have any specific questions regarding those roofs.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Any questions, comments?
Mayor.
Mr. Roberts, Jeff Roberts.
One comment, I was surprised at the spread from low to high.
I was too. That's the first thing that hit me.
More than twice. And don't you just hate spending money on a roof?
I do, but
You tell me.
But with that, I have full confidence in Pickens Roofing. So with that, I'll make a motion to accept their bid. Second.
We have a first by Mr. Jeff Roberts, a second by Mr. Kyle Newton. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Banks. A third item of discussion on new business is request consideration for construction services for the Lindley Park project. Mr. McEwen?
Assistant City Manager Andy Strickland's been leading this project for us, and so, Mr. Strickland.
Thank you, Mr. McEwen. Mayor and Council, what you have before you is a request to hire Edifice contractors for pre-construction services for Lindley Park project. In terms of background, as you'll recall, last summer, the city engaged Goodwin Mills Kaywood GMC in Greenville to prepare construction documents for the project. We had an open house drop-in at the rec complex for the neighborhood. Anybody interested to come see the project, see the design, give their feedback. We have incorporated that feedback and done further design. You have seen that most updated design. We're basically at the point now where to move the project forward, we need to have a contractor on board to help us with that construction manager at risk process and make sure we most efficiently and effectively get this project completed. We submitted a request for qualifications or advertised a request for qualifications. We got 4 submittals. Those submittals are listed in front of you. Sealy Construction, Foothills Contracting, Edifice General Contractors, and J.M. Cope Construction. Of the submittals, those were evaluated by staff, and we are proud to recommend Edifice Contractors for this contract. This is, like I said, pre-construction services, so they will essentially help us finish the design, get us ready to go to construction on this project. They'll do a lot of value engineering for us, budgeting, value engineering, price estimating. The really fun thing about Edifice is that they are quite possibly one of the most qualified, experienced construction manager at risk contractors in the region. So I'm really excited to have them on board. We have a couple members of their team here tonight. If you have any questions for them, I know they'd be glad to chat with you. We have Mike Carlisto, who's one of their vice presidents. We also have Lisa Smith here as well with Edifice. Tyler Morgan with GMC is also here if you have any questions about design. Again, staff's very, very pleased with the submittals and very pleased with the level of interest, but also the level of experience we're able to get out of Edifice to help us move forward with a key gateway project. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll open up to questions. Sounds as if they've been vetted. So any questions, comments from council?
I have one comment. I'm excited about the whole process. This is in my area. So it's going to be a major improvement on what we see there now. So I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to make the motion that we have Edifice General Contractors as pre-construction services for this project.
First by Mr. Lockhart, second by Mr. Harbin. Any further discussion? Maybe I would say, maybe I can get a representative from Edifice. That's a mouth twister there.
Mouthful, yeah.
Maybe to come down and say, why us? Well, I mean, you're new into the market, and tell us a little bit about Edifice.
All right, well, good evening, everybody, and thank you. We are excited, proud to be a part of Lindley Park project, and Edifice has been in business for over 40 years, We have performed a project recently. It was a FedEx facility here in Anderson, and we've been working in the upstate. I've been with Edifice for 26 years, and we've been doing projects in the upstate for that long. We have a Greenville office. I went to school at that place down the road.
Down the road, yep.
So very familiar with the area, and we're just very happy to be here. Andrew's our new marketing person now. He touted us very well, thank you. But Andrew's right, we've done a lot of CM at risk projects, and it's a great process. It's a team-oriented process. It involves the City of Anderson, GMC as the designer, and Edifice as the construction manager. We'll bring in subcontractors to help out with budgeting and pricing and perform constructability reviews and cost saving, value engineering, but it's a very team-oriented process that the group, the team, makes the decisions together. And I always tell folks that the project is the most important, and no individual firm or company is more important than the project. If you hold the project in high regard, it'll be successful. So,
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very, as Mr. Lockhart said, it's a very important project, and I think we all agree that it creates a continuation of the upper part of Lindley that will continue down the Whitney Creek. So we're very excited to have you on board.
And will be used by the full community. We have everybody and their brother come to Lindley Park walking and enjoying the facilities, and we hope to do the same with this new part of the park as well.
Good. Thank you, sir. We had a first and a second. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Our fourth item of new business is request consideration of a contract for wayfinding and signage program. Mr. McEwen?
Okay, before I turn it over to Mayor Haley Thompson, I want to just mention a few things about this. This is, of course, a project that we've had in our capital planning for quite a while. Been working on the design for about a year, and then recently brought it to you at the council retreat. And this is phase one of a much larger project that Ms. Thompson's going to go over with you. We're excited about this, particularly excited about how it's going to add to the visitor experience downtown in this first phase. With that, Ms. Thompson.
Thank you so much. So this has been a long time coming, and it's really exciting as Anderson is in the midst of record high growth patterns with a rising population and a growing reputation as a cultural tourism destination. Downtown also hosts nearly 200 events each year, including weekly concerts, community festivals, seasonal ice skating, weddings, and other private and community events. Downtown's 2 active hotels bring in approximately 38,325 annual hotel guests, which is a conservative estimate too. In addition to the visitors who stay in other area hotels or come downtown for a day trip to shop, dine, or attend an event. So the wayfinding and signage program will include signs across Anderson to help direct visitors and residents to key destinations. The city contracted with Merge, who is a wayfinding design consulting firm, to develop a comprehensive wayfinding master plan. And we also had several public engagement workshops where we invited citizens in and the business community to give feedback. So we have a full master plan of about 150 signs that feature city entry gateway signs, vehicular directional, parking garage entrance identification, pedestrian directional, and kiosks. So the total plan is throughout the city and some in the county. As people are getting off the interstates, it starts immediately directing people to the major landmarks in Anderson. So phase one will include downtown vehicular and pedestrian signage to direct and identify both city parking garages. Phase one will also include information kiosks to be installed in high traffic areas of downtown. The city advertised the phase one bid and received 6 proposals by the April 25th deadline. Those firms bidding include Right Light Signs, Harbinger Sign, Geograph Industries, signs, etc., Forge Sign Works, and Color Add. So city staff and MERGE reviewed the bids and unit pricing for each firm. Interviews were also conducted with two of the firms, which were the two lowest bids, but also because our design consultant had extremely great raving reviews about working with both of them. So that was great that they were also on the lower end for that bid. So MERGE and staff recommend awarding the bid to Geograph Industries of Harrison, Ohio. MERGE has worked with Geograph on 5 similar urban wayfinding projects and shared excellent reviews regarding the company's project management skills, follow-through, lead times, professionalism, price points, and in-house services that make their projects efficient and successful. It was very apparent during the interview too. They brought, the owners. It's a full family business. They've been in business for 33 years. They are very serious about taking on the right amount of work, not, bidding on projects that they don't have time for. So we would definitely be a priority. And although Forge Sign Works came in with the lowest total, there were some incomplete line items, and Geograph actually had the lower unit cost at $5,341 per sign. So the scope of work will include the fabrication and installation of all signage based on the design intent drawings, technical specifications, and standard industry practices. And of course, this is going to be funded out of our accommodations tax fund. And upon the contract award, the fabrication and installation are projected for substantial completion within 26 weeks, meaning the project should be completed by November of this year. And I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Ms. Lockridge.
The kiosk, is it electronic?
Yeah, so one side will be like a static map and information, and then the other side will be a digital map, so we can always update and continue to,
Very good.
keep that up to date. Yeah, we're very excited about that.
How many kiosks?
So 3, and so we're thinking 1 to anchor North Main, 1 to anchor South Main, and 1 in a central location. So,
Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment. This is a project that I'm extremely excited for. I think that this has been well thought out. I like that the staff took the time to do the correct interview process, to ask MERGE to weigh in. I'm a big fan of being a good steward with our finances, but at the same time, if we're going to invest this kind of money, I want to make sure that we're investing it in quality. So, although, one of the bids were lower, I appreciate you guys, stating the fact there were some incomplete lines. And anytime there's a recommendation like that and there's an existing partnership, that raises my level of comfort to know that. So I just wanted to applaud the entire process, and I think the citizens of this town will be very thankful when this all goes up.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, questions?
Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make the motion to approve this. I feel like this has been a long time coming. I know we've had a lot of conversation around it. I'm very excited about that time frame too. That's before, Mission Cities and everything. So I'd like to go ahead and make the motion we approve.
First by Mr. Newton.
Second that.
Second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The last item of new business is request consideration of an ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract and deed to convey real estate located at the intersection of North Mary Avenue and West Malden Street. Ms. McEwen.
Okay, you might have noticed some survey stakes in that area, in that intersection there. I'm gonna turn this over to Mr. McLean. I will say that we did run it by our engineering team, and Mr. Strickland as well, leading the project on Landley Park, make sure this didn't interfere in any way with the project design. It didn't, and with that, we moved it over to legal for preparation at SCDOT's request. Mr. McLean.
This is an offer we received from SCDOT a good while back to purchase a little area there at Malden and North Mary Avenue. That's our little place right here.
Maybe from a visual.
In order
You know what we're talking about, Dr. Thompson? You know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
They offered to pay.
This is just an ordinance to set that intersection.
Oh, yeah.
Right below the church.
Right. We did hold off on it until we could hear from our design folks on Lincoln Park to make sure this will not interfere with that.
I will say too, you might have noticed, what they're trying to do is replace the old wooden poles that they have. They really don't have a solid foundation. They're not, to hold the traffic lights, which have a lot of weight to them. We do maintain the traffic lights, once they're up, but they do have a replacement schedule on these, as far as the entire, traffic lights. And these are on some old wooden poles that, so they're moving to, a foundation base, a steel pole. Unfortunately, we talked about this before on another project, but, we would have an option to upgrade for what they call the mass arms or the poles that extend over. There's a 3-year backlog on the order of those, supply chains, so forth, and everybody's trying to get them. So in this case, I think for the safety of it and this intersection, the city agrees with the recommendation and their recognition to the improvement to move forward with it.
I never noticed it until this past weekend. How many of these do we have? Do you think?
Wooden poles?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Too many?
There's a lot. Yeah, they've really just started in the last 2 years getting serious about replacing these.
Replacing them?
But it carries a lot of weight. Those are large, and so replacing them then, which puts new wiring in and everything, new lights.
Gotcha.
Well, the new ones are lighter, is that what you're saying?
No, it puts in new lights, but they are, we converted to LED anyways, the light itself. But no, the pole itself, and then has a engineered foundation to it, so concrete foundation, and then the pole bolts to it. And so it's engineered for high wind events and so forth, so you don't have these coming down, which we experience in storms pretty frequently.
And we experience outages.
Mr. Hogan?
Mr. McEwen, so if my math is right, it's .002 acres, and that's $200. So I think Mr. McLean should be commended because that's $100,000 an acre. It would be the workout math price that he got us for that. So with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this. And thank you, Mr. McLean, for coming up with that fabulous amount of money for $100,000 an acre on Linden Park.
And I accept this.
We have a first by Mr. Hogan and second by Mr. Lockridge. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously on the first reading. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have first by Mr. Newton, second by Mr. Lockridge. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.